Welcome to a new episode of Lift Off with Hawk Marketing. My name is John Maggio, and I'm here with my special guest, Lee Crumbaugh from Forrest Consulting. Hey Lee, how are you doing?
John, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It just so happens to be New Year's Eve today. And I thought that we would do a little video because Lee here has done some amazing things in his last year, even better than he had done years previous. And I thought, Lee, you could share a few things with us, a few tips to help people stay focused and help people on their track this year. Now, what I was talking about specifically, Lee, is you ran a lot of races last year.
I ran 7 marathons.
7 marathons.
Why not?
Well, you know, it's pretty good, Lee, because I have a hard time running out to the car. You know.
Stick with me, I can change you.
But in order to run 7 marathons, and I know those are just some of the races that you did, there had to be a lot of commitment and a lot of principles and a lot of training, I guess. You train yourself in a sense.
Well, I'm a coach, so I know what you have to do to get ready to race well.
Wow.
And I've been doing this for many years.
Now, the 7 races that you had, you actually won a few of them?
I won my age group in 3 of the marathons. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So I thought the most remarkable part about not only having the 7 races, not only winning, but you actually ran faster this year than last year, and the subsequent.
And for several years before. You know, that goes back to a belief that I have, which is that we're all capable of so much more than we ask of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that applies in whatever we do, whether it's our business or our personal commitments. If you really want to do something, you can lay out a plan and you can improve. And that's why I'm a successful runner. I think that's what has made me successful professionally, is that attitude and that realization.
I heard what you said. I heard one of the big words that you said when I was listening was plan. A lot of people don't have a plan, do they?
No. And, you know, people, I think I know a lot of reasons why people don't plan, actually, because I've done a lot of research on it. I was board chair of the Association for Strategic Planning for a couple of years. And in that professional realm, I've done a lot of research on why people don't plan. But basically, people are afraid to make commitments because then they're obligated to follow through on them. And when you don't make commitments, a lot of your motion, a lot of your energy, a lot of your attention, a lot of what you do is random. It's off target. It isn't focused.
You not only get distracted, but you welcome distraction because it sounds like you don't really even want to put in the work.
Well, you might want to work, but you don't want to regiment yourself the way sometimes you have to. You don't have to commit yourself to repetitive actions.
Mm-hmm.
In running, you don't just wake up and say, oh, I'm going to have a great race.
Okay.
For the marathon, you're 24 weeks or 18 weeks before that race.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you're figuring out what you need to do to progress, to get better. And then you've got to actually execute that. Well, that's a good metaphor for what we have to do in our business lives. You're not going to have a successful business just by hanging out your shingle or showing up.
Yeah, on race day, you got to train.
You've got to set up a plan and then execute it, and then good things happen. And if they don't, you learn what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do that anymore, and you move on to the next. Okay, what's the next option? What's the next idea? And ultimately, by trying these things, you see what improves you.
So committing to a plan and then reverse engineering that plan per se, I mean, that's going to be how you come up with your regimen?
Yep.
And then the hard work obviously comes in because you have to show up, you know?
But, you know, I find some joy personally when you start to realize that this is the path to success.
Uh-huh.
And what might seem like, oh, I have to do that again, is more like, oh, if I do this, good things are going to happen. So you get in this positive feedback loop, this virtuous circle, where as you do it, good things happen. And then you get reinforced to say, yeah, I need to keep doing that.
Going back to the running, it's almost like within 24 weeks you run several small personal races, and you're having all those victories up into the big victory.
That's exactly right.
And that's what keeps people motivated, is those victories.
Now, I'm a data geek.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. See, I've got my
Smartwatch?
well, not just a smartwatch, my Garmin Phoenix.
Oh.
And I can tell you my stride length. I can tell you how much my stride varies. I can tell you my heart rate and all this stuff. And to me, that's just a way to monitor progress. It's because I can therefore see improvement or not in every run.
And optimize.
And it's the same thing with the people I coach or with myself, which is, let's figure out what to measure. Let's see what's working. Because that you can tune your performance or change what you're doing to get that better feedback as you go.
I'm smiling because in my business, our job is to figure out what type of actions it's going to take to get a customer, how much does it take to get that customer, and then try to reverse engineer, are we even charging enough? So data is hugely important, not only in running, but in business.
Exactly. Well, you're right. How do you know your pricing? I used to manage the American Fence Association, fence, deck, and railing, and I got to know many very successful fence contractors. And one of the things they would measure was how many jobs they bid on they would not get. And if they got too high a percentage, they knew they weren't charging enough. They did not want every bit of business. They didn't want a bottom feed.
Oh.
They wanted good business. So they would raise their prices. If they were getting more than 2/3 of what they bid on or half,
they knew they were too cheap.
They're too cheap. They'd raise their prices.
Their whole goal was to lose a little bit to make sure that they were at the right pricing.
Right.
That's awesome. That's a strategy a lot of people don't think about. Losing business to make sure you're charging the right amount of money.
A big problem in business, in my experience, is not charging enough. And what that really means is you are not getting back the value that you can offer the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And you're scared to charge enough because there's always somebody who will charge less. And you say, but I'll lose that. I won't get that business. The people who aren't going to pay your price, assuming it aligns with your value, you don't want as customers. You don't want as clients.
Number one reason why is you won't be in business to help
They're
anybody.
going to drive you out of business, or your profit margins are going to be too low. You're going to be working those 80 hours a week, and your hourly, your return is not going to be there.
Your heart's in the right place. You want to be helpful. You want to help everybody, but at the same time, if you want to help 1,000 people, and you're so busy helping 2 or 3 people, how are you going to end up helping the other 997? And in fact, you can't help anybody if you're out of business. Right?
You can't help anybody if you're out of business.
So you have to really think about, like you said, the plan.
Well,
and don't get distracted.
Don't get distracted. And how do you show your value to that potential client or customer? That's a tough one. So, and a lot of people are what I call in Me Too businesses, or they have Me Too selling propositions, meaning I'm a realtor, I'm an insurance agent, I'm an insurance agent, I'm an insurance agent. Okay, who do I pick and why? What differentiates you? Why am I going to give you my hard-earned dollars? Yeah. So, you've got to figure out what it is that you uniquely can offer or add or do to make it worth more than that bottom-feeding, low price, right?
Yeah. And you don't have to overthink it. We were even talking about earlier that maybe you might be apt to work with runners and also coach them on their business because it's passionate. It's your passion.
It is the passion. And also, as you point out, the runners who want to improve, if they're in business, they take that same mindset to their business.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like people that I swim around because I'm like them, they would be a joy to do business with. But it doesn't have to be runners. I just want to deal with people who want to grow, who want to get better. If they're in a for-profit business be more profitable. If they're in a mission-driven or in a nonprofit business, do a better job of helping or supporting the cause or whatever. Those are the kinds of people that I like to work with.
Being committed to their passion is an
exactly.
indicator of how well you're going to get along with them, or how well they're going to be.
Well, the value they're going to get from working with me.
That's right.
I'll find it more fun, but I'm more worried about, can I really help them?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, as I say, that are kind of scared of committing because that's going to demand focus and repetitive behavior and commitment. And, I'll try to help people get over that hurdle, but ultimately they have to get over it, or else I really can't help them.
No.
I can commiserate, I can understand, I can be their friend, but I can't really help them.
Well, they hear, I need a coach. There are all these coaches out there. They think they need to go to Best Buy and buy a coach off the shelf. And then you open up this box and all of a sudden your 2019 is going to be awesome. But that's not the way it works.
Well, for two reasons. One is what we just talked about,
Yep.
because the commitment has to come from your end.
Yep.
But also, what kind of coach? What are you being coached in? Okay?
Why do you want to coach?
I can probably do some things to make you feel better, but unlike my late wife, I'm not a clinical social worker. So, I can't solve your personal problems.
Yeah.
Now, there are some coaches out there that come more from the psychological viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
There's some coaches that come from what you eat and don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of coaches that could help you in various ways.
Earlier also was when you were creating your unique value proposition.
Right.
To differentiate yourself from all the other coaches per se. I was saying sometimes it doesn't have to be all business. When the example that was leading to running, my example would be fishing. I do a lot of fishing, so it just tends to be that as soon as I meet somebody and we start talking about fishing, well, that person has a little stronger bond with me than maybe the marketing guy sitting next to me that doesn't know how to fish or doesn't hunt or doesn't share that hobby with that person. So it doesn't always have to be when you're trying to set that differentiator. There's 3 mortgage bankers in a room. Those 3 people are 3 different personalities. They're all going to have 3 different types of energy, and immediately they're going to attract certain people and repel certain people.
Right, but they should find those things that make them different or unique.
Yes.
Or better, and accentuate it and use it.
Exactly.
As opposed to just stand up and say, I'm a realtor.
Absolutely, right? Especially in the small talk.
Right. Well, people have these, everybody has these. I mean, very few people don't have other interests or done things in their lives or whatever. And I also think that even if people, in my case, don't really care or know about running, I'm at least exposing that I'm more of a well-rounded person, that I have passions and interests. And that makes me, in a technical term, makes me sticky.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is a psychological term. There actually is research on this, and actually you can do this on LinkedIn. You can make yourself stickier by what you put in your LinkedIn profile. So whether you do it when you're talking to people or eating a meal with them or whatever, or making a video, you become more memorable, stickier, more interesting if you're not just talking about here's how you make a profit or whatever.
The mundane.
Be the person. Be a real whole person.
Absolutely.
And you're sticky, John, with
I'm trying.
all the stuff that you do.
I went fishing last weekend.
Yeah,
and
what'd you catch?
I caught a lot of fish. But my fishing photographs got more likes than my inspirational quotes per se. So like you said, it's the personality, it's the small things, it's the things that I'm doing while I'm not at work that are helping me be sticky as well.
So the thing in the last few months that I posted, and I post a bunch of things, was a photo of my 7 marathon medals.
Yeah, so
that got by far the most likes.
Heck yeah. I can't even run out to the car.
That's that stickiness, right?
Stickiness. Is that almost like becoming viral in real life, or what do you mean by that? Is that standing out in a way?
Well, I actually mean a couple things by stickiness. people have to stand for something. They have to be memorable. When you go into a network meeting and there's 50 people there,
Mm-hmm.
some people are just going to stand out. Maybe it's by how they dress, maybe it's by what they say, maybe it's just by the tone of their voice,
Mm-hmm.
but also maybe it's the content of what they're about, just how they carry themselves, their confidence, whatever. Those are the people you're going to remember. So it's not so much saying, I'm in this business, do business with me.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we say that, but it's how you have that much rounder, fuller
Story almost.
story. Yeah. Now there's another part. Again, it goes back to theory.
Okay.
There's network theory.
Okay.
One of my professors at University of Chicago, Ronald Burt, is an expert in network theory. And
Okay.
this is not electronics. This is people.
Oh, okay.
And what he's discovered is the people who prosper in life, and he's
Mhm.
done research on this, are the people that have the most connections and therefore the access to the most knowledge.
Oh.
So another way to look at stickiness is how many people stick to you? How many people do you attract?
Mm-hmm.
And the people who have those connections across different networks, not
Mhm.
just Tuesday morning breakfast in Annapolis, but Tuesday morning breakfast in Annapolis, maybe the mayor's office, maybe
The Striders.
the Striders, maybe the whatever.
Maybe your church.
Your church, these are the people who make more money demonstrably. And it's because they've built this network that spans groups.
Oh.
So, John, when I want to know who does this in Annapolis, guess who I'm going to come to?
Thanks.
Maggio.
Yeah. I'm gonna try.
Because-
I got good referrals.
Well, only because you're spread out over a lot of networks and you know a ton of people.
Mhm.
Well, just the fact that I come to you for that makes you more valuable to me.
I appreciate
Right?
that. You're right.
But that's so I would encourage you, me, all of us,
Mm-hmm.
to, yes, keep going to the networking events and the things we're doing, but go to other things. Get involved in other things.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be there all the time, but don't get in your rut. Break out of it.
You might have heard me say a few times to the group, I know a lot of you have had coffee with each other already, but you should probably have coffee again because the joke is no good relationship ends on the first date. But like you said, if people are out there and say now I'm in the Crofton area a lot more than I was last year, well, that's a lot more opportunity for you if you and I get coffee again together, because now my network is more vast. Your network's more vast.
Exactly.
You know.
So our networks are no longer half vast.
They're half vast. They're more
Sorry.
half vast. That's a good one. But to the fact, now if you really think about it, it's like, wait a minute, Lee. I didn't know that you were a coach for these two running groups for the Striders, and to be honest with you, a lot of runners probably are business owners. So when I'm asking or looking or saying, hey Lee, my best referral today would be this type of person, you have a lot of resources to go back and try to help provide value to me as well, and that makes stickiness.
That makes stickiness.
That's the example. Okay.
Exactly.
So number one, you said have a plan. We talked about that. Number two, be more sticky, right? And what would be another third goal?
What I've really done research on is why we make bad decisions
Bad decisions.
and why we don't execute. What I prescribe based on my research and my book that's 2/3 done on decision making
Okay.
is when you've got a big decision, when you need to be committed to something and you need to figure it out, when an opportunity has come up, slow down,
Okay.
step back,
Okay.
evaluate it logically.
Okay.
Go to your good friend and say, here's what I'm seeing. Do you see this?
Okay. Ask for feedback.
Right. Ask for feedback early, not after you've already committed and screwed it up, right?
Okay.
Early. Think about, well, if I did this, what else can't I now do?
Play chess, not checkers. Think a couple moves ahead.
But also it's opportunity costs. You only have so much energy and time you can focus. So if I'm going to do this thing,
It's going to prevent you from something else.
or maybe I shouldn't do something else. So is this a good trade-off, right?
When we used to run the shoe store, people would say, hey, can I have off Saturday to go to a concert? Well, I said, well, not only are you going to go spend $200 on the concert, but you're going to lose $200 from not working. It's a $400 day. It's not a $200 day. People don't think that way.
Exactly. Exactly. So anyway, I am all about trying to make those big decisions better. And the first step is just when you get in that position to say, whoops, I just can't do this impulsively or casually, or I can't kind of ignore it, right? Which is what we tend to do with big decisions.
That's true.
We ignore it.
Avoid it.
We avoid it. No. Corral it, recognize it, work through a process, and I can help you with that process, but work through a process, and odds are very high you'll make a better decision. You'll get committed in the right way to the right things.
And one of the things, just to kind of wrap this whole thing up, is that when you were running all those races, he did 7 marathons, and he also did many other small races, but you would never take a race unless it aligned with your ultimate one goal, which was what?
I always worked it into, will this help me qualify for the Boston Marathon in 2020?
So when people said, hey Lee, can you race this, can you race that, you weren't impulsively like, yeah, I'll race everything. You said no. You thought about it, you stepped back, and
Can
you
I
said,
fit it into my schedule in a way that helps me? If I can't, no. I'm not going to do an ultra. I'm not going to go run 50 miles this coming weekend. Sorry. That's just not helping me get to where I'm...
to your plan, to your ultimate plan. So number
Yes.
1 is have a plan. Number 2 is be yourself, which will make you more sticky. And number 3, don't be so impulsive. Take a step back and think what'll happen a few moves ahead before you make a big decision next year. That's pretty cool. I think that's great advice.
Glad to share it.
Well, thank you very much. This is Lee Crumbaugh with Forrest Consulting and John Maggio with Hawk Marketing, and another episode of Liftoff in the books. Of course, this is all going towards the Success with Local Marketing Expo 2019. The book will be coming out very shortly, and you can access the chapters online and look for more YouTube content coming soon.
Great success in 2019.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much, Lee.
Thank you, John.